thanks for keeping us company as we embark on another tough talking journey, an edition in which we delve into the perceived sidelining of Anglophones in recent appointments at the taxpayer bankrolled Cameroon Radio and Television Corporation, the CRTV, the real motives behind the weekend conclave that brought together funds of the Northwest, and their counterparts from the littoral or the Ngondo, if you don't mind, and then the curious silence of Anglophones and Anglophone MPs in particular on the crisis plaguing English-speaking Cameroon since October last year. Make yourselves feel at home. We'll be right back in a moment. So the 29th edition of the African Union Summit is underway in Addis Ababa since Monday. Elie Smith, good morning.
Good morning, Divine.
President Paul Biya has once again answered absent at the congregation.
Well, I think it's no news because he seldom attends those meetings, first of all, because of his age. I think this time around he's not, and his health, because he's in poor health. People don't want to say it, but he's not saying anything bad, but it's normal, he's old. And the other thing is that he did not go to Addis Ababa this time around because he's preparing for his re-elections. You see, you have a series of appointments that are going on in the military and the civilian corps of the country. So I think that's the reason why he never went to Addis Ababa.
President Paul Biya's absence at the big event for the continent will be one of our key talking points when we come around again on Thursday. We're just starting this other edition of Tough Talk. Kejan Henry, Elie Smith was mentioning it. Good morning, first of all.
Yeah, good morning, Divine, and to our televiewers.
So Elie Smith said it a while ago. President Paul Biya continues with deploying state administrators after army officials, after varsity dons. It is the turn of divisional officers.
Yes,
what interpretation do you give to these developments?
Before I give the interpretation, let me just say that I hope this time around, the Jean Bela, whoever is going to represent the head of state, will not be disgraced again, because I remember the last time Jean Bela was whisked by some security officers who came in.
Went AU summit?
At the summit, because
Prime Minister Philemonian is actually there on behalf of
that's good. Because sometimes they send some people that are not recognized, and so they are disgraced because we're supposed to sit in for the president. But sometimes there are certain discussions that only the presidents must be there, and when decisions are taken, only the president. So someone like Lejeune or whoever represents the president will go out of it. Cannot be signing documents.
Let's come back to the question.
Coming back to your question.
Of the ongoing
it is very logical that the head of state is already putting his playing his cards. For those who do not know, should already know it now that he's playing his cards. And in fact, a series of appointments at the military, now at the senior divisional offices across the country. These are the people. I used to say it that we should understand that ELECAM's role will not be to publish results. ELECAM's role will enlist the people on the voters registration bank, provide for all the necessary electoral materials, encourage people as well as political parties to get registered and go for elections. And at the end of the day, because ELECAM will not even be the one to appoint polling agents, at the end of the day, they will hand it over to the divisional officers, to the divisional officers and senior divisional officers for more transmission. So probably they are playing the card already.
Thanks a lot for sharing your views with us and our viewers out there in particular. Now, and this is our icebreaker for this other edition of Tough Talk. Appointments enacted following an extraordinary board session of what I like to call it the taxpayer-funded Cameroon Radio and Television Corporation, the CRTV, last June 29, continue to fuel perceptions that Anglophones in the house can only be apportioned the crumbs. Elie Smith?
Yes, I'm not very surprised.
They didn't get any of the top positions in those appointments.
Why should they get any top appointment when they are not considered as on equal footing? Anglophones in this country since 1961 have always played the second fiddle. And they at CRTV is peculiar. Look at even the period when their news is being broadcast. They are always eternal deputies. So I'm not very surprised about the recent appointments there at the Cameroon Radio and Television Corporation.
Henry Keja, you're a friend to some of the journalists at CRTV and some very top-ranking Anglophone journalists in the house. Now, when I spoke to some of them after the meeting on Thursday, June the 29th, the impression you don't easily get the impression, but listening to them, you feel some frustration and some anger. That's justified. Yes,
it's a fact that there might be some frustrations and anger. Because if you look at like those who are appointed, except for some chief of stations, there is nobody at the helm of governance, put it that way, at the head of governance in the central administration, except for like is almost or commonly used decentralized services like chief of stations, where you can find some Anglophones, manning a few things. But then the fact that you have somebody like Joseph Wirba is still the same thing.
Retirement?
Who was
for the past 2 years?
2 years, no, 1.5 years, but he was given some prolongation as per the discretion of the board.
Just like Alain Bilibi.
Just like Alain Bilibi and some others in there, like Alex Stefane Wane. Yes, but the frustration still moves on because, at the central administration, you could count just Wongibe Emmanuel. I think Robert Ekukle still remains as a technical advisor. Now they say it's no more power because, when he was the director of productions, in fact, it could mean that he has a say in some of the top management issues of that particular.
Some have mentioned this. Some people are questioning if this all is hinged on incompetence on the part of Anglophones at CRTV. But the question is, aren't we asking too much as Anglophones in Cameroon?
No, asking too much.
Appointments at CRTV, there's grumbles.
No, asking too much in your country. No. The thing is that this country, I don't know if we need to bring back the history. 2 countries united to form one. So we are equals. So there's nothing, it's not as if we are Oliver Twist because we have nothing already.
And that's where the competence thing comes in.
But why do you talk about incompetence, Divine? Did they not attend, excuse me? But did they not, let me just say this. Did they not attend the same schools? That is what do you talk about? What do you mean by incompetence?
Yes.
Did they not attend the same schools? Are they not doing the same job in the same organization? Don't they have the right to be promoted as such or to be appointed to have certain governance position as such?
I remind you, no Anglophone has been general manager of CRTV since its creation. Elie Smith, the question, and this is it. The directors of radio and television broadcasting, the directors of the editorial departments are all French-speaking Cameroonians. But the question, because you talked about equality, hinged on the constitution that said hatched Cameroon as a nation. Should equality be interpreted as meaning that, okay, even if you don't have the competence to run a structure, you should be there because of what we call a regional problems a couple of minutes ago. Elie Smith, we had a shutdown of where we live in Cameroon, where we have NAO as the
recurrent cuts
producer and distributor in Cameroon. We just suffered a blackout, though mine was still on. Can you come back to the answer to that question, Elie?
Yes, you were talking about equality, and then you were trying to say we should not hide under the cloak of equality, and even if we are not competent, we should have no. One thing is this: there's nothing of hiding or trying to hide behind equality. We are as competent as they are. The reality is that in this country, Anglophones have no mouth. They don't have no place in this country. And a great example is at CRTV. That thing, I like your sarcasm because when you're trying to, because there is a thing, I've met some colleagues of French-speaking expression who work at CRTV who have floated this idea of saying that Anglophones are not competent. It's a lie. The Anglophones are very competent, or perhaps more competent than their Francophone folks or colleagues. Right. The only problem that we have at CRTV is that as Chiruma, I will not say some, but Chiruma said once.
That we have him on the screen right
yes, now. Chiruma said something when, is it Ekukole who interviewed Frundi? No, somebody who interviewed Frundi during
George
Ewane. He said the thing. He said it to one person. I will also give his name. He can come here. His name is called Binji Anani.
Yes.
He spoke with Chiruma Bakari, and Bakari was so angry that George Ewane had interviewed Frundi
during the reception of the Lions.
Yes, and he said Ison Komsal is Anglophone. Which, but the thing is that they don't have confidence in us. They treat us as foreigners. They are there at CRT with their with their Anglophone colleagues. They don't believe in them. Look at the way they have been treating the Anglophone crisis in this country. So they don't want a competent Anglophone, because the thing is that journalism practice in the Anglo-Saxon world is at variance with the way the Francophones do practice. Okay. And at CRTV, it's a hideout for fake news broadcasts, lies, and those who are managing are Francophones, so they are afraid to appoint an Anglophone who might come and become a third independent and professional.
When you talk about fake news, it takes me back to the US and, of course, President Donald Trump, who's been attacking the media this week. I mean, there's another new...
The CRTV is really a fake news propagator.
There's another new tweet from President Trump attacking CNN. Now, Henry Kejang, the question stays, aren't Anglophones asking for too much? Kevin Boda, a station manager of the East, Marie-Louise Guacheka, Northwest, Southwest is Kange Williams Wasalogo, Nalova Mukake for the Littoral, Mary Loom Azonga for Paula FM in Bafusan. These are appointments, of course.
There are appointments. Now, put it comparatively. What is the ratio? I mentioned that these are decentralized services.
We have 5 Anglophones here for 10 regional stations.
It's good. Paula FM. It becomes worrisome to think that that is something. But don't forget that Nalva Mokake is coming here, and she's going to be bossed by Jean Marinka,
who's the
regional manager. So what are you telling me? So in a nutshell, it's like, and don't forget that in Paula FM, you know, Marilum Azonga Quenti is going to be bossed by the regional boss there, because you know, I have Paula FM and the regional station. All right.
So one of those whose heads had to roll out of post as information director at CRTV is Adel Mbala. Well, there's no connection and no connotation to Anglophones here, but she was kicked out of her post as information director at CRTV following her May 15 gaffe when she announced the setting up of a new French government. She's been replaced by Jean Atangana, who had been on secondment. Is that how we call it?
Yes, that's your right.
Ministry of the Economy
and Planning and Regional Development.
Now, he's catapulted back to the House, and some say actually from retirement.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say. You brought it out there. That's the devil's in the detail. I understand that he was on retirement and he was brought back. So you are bringing the fanatical CPDM guys back. And now here I am in defense of Madame Adel Mbala Tangana, right? Because I find
she was set up and framed.
She was framed.
Whatever the case, CRTV has always been a hideout for fake news. They have been lying all through, right? But why is it that this lady has been sacrificed? Simply because the lies has been too much. It has gone way far too much than they could control, and they went and started lying against their masters, which is France. My question is, Zachary Neiman, for Christ's sake, he was a famous journalist at CRTV. I think he's still there.
He went to the parliament.
Okay,
and his mandate.
He is known to have claimed that the Anglophones sang the Nigerian national anthem. What happened to him? Since we are the Anglophones during this crisis, can you remember or can you count the lies that CRT have been churning against the Anglophones, and yet nothing happened? So I think that Adele, right? Adele just did nothing wrong. She knew that she's in a house of people who tell lies. She was not framed up because it's a lie. Because if she wants to be punished, she should punish the entire news team that produced that news on that day.
Especially the proofreader.
Exactly, the proofreader and everything. So I don't want to believe that Sharon Dongo is just making a kind of PR stunt. Especially he wants to please France. That's all thing. That's what I want to do.
But Charles did not sanction her.
And I want to ask a question. Why is it that they cannot appoint an Anglophone as a news director at CRTV? I don't know if it has ever existed.
Since the demise of Luke Ananga, there has been none.
Yeah, but Luke
Ananga. I thought we were going to drive down to that conclusion.
But Luke Ananga is a pro-CPDN man. So, but the
he was, anyway.
Yeah, he was. But the thing is, we want at CRTV Anglophones at equal footings with Francophones.
Thanks very much, Elie Smith. And so just for your information, Adel Mbala is the new communications department head at CRTV. So she's not entirely flushed out of the house.
No, but just one moment about that. The person who has no confidence and you put her as the head of the communications, who is not going to believe anything Adel Mbala says. So
that's good. No, whatever things she says, even if it's gospel truth, they will not accept it. You put her there to communicate. It would have even been better to send her back to a kunu.
All right, let's take a break and we'll be right back to unveil our first major talking point for this other edition of the Tough Talking Show. And so as the mid-year session of Parliament begins to draw to a close, observers are remarking that apart from the tough-talking Honorable Wirba Joseph from the Jakiri constituency in the Northwest region, English-speaking MPs and senators have been, well, curiously silent. They've sealed their lips regarding the evolution of the Anglophone crisis. That impression is accentuated by the perception, Elie Smith, that the majority of Anglophone MPs are not talking.
Yes,
apart from the likes of Honorable Wirba.
Yes, apart from Wirba, the talking that they do is that they speak behind doors. That's what they do. They don't have.
They do that.
They don't
behind the curtain.
They don't have the courage to come up front and speak. They are for two reasons. One, they are afraid because it reminds me of an incident when Mwali Penja was invited by Ayijo at the presidency to discuss about fuel oil. But I think that image, that psychological impression of the savagery of the Francophones is making most Anglophone MPs to be afraid. Secondly, is that most of them are already corrupt. They have grown so rich when they went to Parliament in Yaoundé. They are afraid that, and then when you are doing that, the people who give them contracts are dangling a kind of sledgehammer on them that, okay, if you speak, we cut your head. So, or we break your head. That's the reason why you see them, they don't have this courage to speak. They are cut off with the reality of things. They have become what Albert Mukom said, the bourgeoisie, compradors, Anglophone, corrupt in Yaoundé. They are not alone. Even the Prime Minister, Philemon Yang, is ashamed because this is a man that inaugurated the Multicultural and Bilingualism Commission, yet he seldom speaks English. He doesn't address anything in English. He wants to please Paul Biya and the Francophones. So sometimes we accuse the Francophones of everything they do in this country. We are most often, or our leaders, our so-called elite, are the architects of our fall. So that's the reason why our MPs there, if were it not of Joseph Wirba, nobody will talk about West Cameroon again. Okay,
we'll be coming to hear some words from the Honorable Joseph Wirba in the next coming minutes. But you don't need to wear glasses, lenses, Henry Kejan, to decipher that it's a shocking silence.
Yes, it's shocking.
Would you buy Elie Smith?
Yes.
Born of fear.
It's born of fear. I buy the idea in total. Because when the first time Wirba stormed the rostrum to address this issue, when he was heralded, when he went back to his constituency, remember he had planned some crusade, beginning from Kumbo to Bamenda to Boya to Kumba, etc., etc. But then the other MPs kept quiet, and in one of his outings, he said he was never protected by his colleagues, and that is why at some time he had to, disappear. He had to transfigure, as I'll put it, and reappeared, at the Parliament at the dismay of his own colleagues. And sometimes we even gather that his colleagues trembled when he reappeared at the hemicycle. Okay. But the point is, we equally hear information that, well, there was a game that the SDF opposition played in order to lobby for his return. I don't know how far that is true. But the fact that he kept
lobby for what?
For his return.
No, it's a lie.
That's what I'm saying. That I don't know how far that is true. Okay. But the fact that not only the SDF MPs kept quiet, as MPs of a nation, all the MPs, be there from the CPDM, the SDF, the UPC, the UDC, or MDR, or whatever party is there, plus senators, were supposed to clamor for his protection. By the way, I did not see, because if we had, because it is said that it was a tip for his arrest, we could believe that, knowing what the regime is. Okay. And that is how Bala and the rest were tipped for arrest. Okay. Because they expected them to run away, I mean Bala and Fontem, but Bala was driving him in town, ignorant like Kejang, and he was picked up, because if he had run away, that would have been at the end of the game. Okay,
Elie Smith, what can the MPs effectively do apart from barking like dogs, toothless bulldogs, in a house composed of an overwhelming CPDM majority, some call it obese majority. What can they effectively achieve?
What they can achieve is that they are taking a dialogue or a problem which is on the periphery and bringing it into the hemicycle, which is where such dialogues have to be debated. And contrary to what we may think, Divine, we may think that they have a majority, but within the CPDM, who are not from the West Cameroon, there are some people who are sympathetic to the cause. What they just need is that they need a spark, and that spark must come from Anglophone MPs, be they from of the CPDM or of the SDF. The thing now is you have Martin Oyono, who is from Kribi, the South region.
The Ocean Division.
He's the guy who came up, spoke beside Wirba in defense of the Anglophones. Right. The thing is that if the Anglophones MP cannot muster the courage to be the vehicle of the grievances of their respective constituencies, who else is going to do that? My thing is, those MPs, be they of the SDF in West Cameroon or CPDM in West Cameroon, are a disgrace. The only good person among them who is courageous enough is called Joseph Wirba, period. Even John Frundi and all the thing. The thing is, though, they have eaten a lot of money in Yaoundé, they have grown fat, and now they just try to behave and connive with the people in Yaoundé who are oppressing West Cameroonians.
Okay, there's an open letter making the rounds on the social media platforms. It is actually authored by certain Dr. David Makongo. In it, he says it would be, I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. It would be ridiculous for MPs to sit in Parliament and at the Senate to examine a bill intended to formalize the creation of a common law bench at the Supreme Court, considering that the initiators of the clamor are currently languishing behind bars. These are Dr. Bala and Fontaine. To an extent.
He is extremely right, and Cameroonians know this very well. It's like we were saying that we are gradually forgetting to solve the problem the way it's supposed to be solved, and providing cosmetic solutions, as some people are already saying. Well, this issue is still in papers. Nobody has seen it coming. Or everything that they have been talking still in papers, except maybe for a few appointments in the Ministry of Justice, like Justice Fonkwe, who is replacing Guamesia as the Secretary General in that ministry. Well, the displacements. But then don't forget, Divine, still very much cosmetic solutions. And the recent outing of Ayapo Abine is still in tandem with what is going on.
Just to remind our viewers that Ayapo Abine was rushed to hospital. In fact, he reportedly suffered a heart attack on Sunday. Good. He is still in hospital. He's still in hospital.
And he said that he's on retirement at the age of 66, getting to 67. Yes. Whereas his elders are 78, 72, 74, 75, and they are still in active service. Which means, because he is the one who initiated that project, like you are saying, at the Supreme Court. Because when he was appointed, he questioned and questioned why there is no department to handle litigations of common law practice. And I know, yes, thanks to him, these things have been made. So but at the parliament, they are debating on the bill. There's a problem that is going on. At least remove these guys, let them sit home, then solve the problem. Solving the problem means come to the table.
Elie Smith, Anglophone cause hardliners will take any examination of that bill as provocation?
Yes, it's a provocation.
Which will spill over and frustrate the resumption of schools in September?
Yes, there will be no school resumption, I'm telling you. Because we should not come here and try to say things, minds in our words. We have to be honest. The enabling environment for classes to resume in September are not there. One prerequisite is simple. Those who have been unjustly detained, deported from West Cameroon to the prisons of Yaoundé should be released if they want the schools to be open. And those who are, they are not hardliners. The thing is, Henry, those people who are behind bars were behind bars simply because they brought up these issues that are being unilaterally solved. How can you solve a problem unilaterally when those who brought it up are not there? So I think that, look, we can be perorating here till tomorrow. The only solution is for the 151, according to the civil society organization West Cameroon, and 72 or 70 or 60.
According to officials?
According to REDAC, they should all be free. They have done nothing. Okay. They have done nothing.
And so still in the show at the June 29 court appearance of these Anglophone activists who are detained across Yaoundé, both at the, some say, as well as the Kondengi prison, was Honorable Joseph Wirba. Kejan, how do you interpret his presence in court?
Well, his presence is, it was normal, like any other normal human being who wants to be part of a session.
He stole the show?
Of an open court session. Yes, he stole the show.
Intentional?
Well, it was not intentional because he's been out since the trial began. And I want to believe he has not been part of any session to witness the
and it's good that we're talking about him because Big C Macho and the rest were advised by him to halt the hunger strike and preserve their lives for continuation of the Anglophone cause. And in the meantime, a letter written by these inmates to Anglophone parliamentarians has still not met with any reply. Elie Smith, you met him on Sunday?
Yes, sir.
July the 2nd in Yaoundé. How would you describe the man up front?
I would just describe him as a humble, determined man. And I was in awe when you see somebody that you have this strong admiration for him. Because this is a man, I don't want to say he's more courageous than Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ had to invoke the power of the Spirit of God to withstand the pains that he was to undergo during the process of his assassination or killing. But he is this type of ordinary man who is just living for the people of West Cameroon. You see, a man who wants to sacrifice himself. He spoke to me like what Marianne Ngwabi said sometime in 1976 before his assassination, that a man who loves his country is able or willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice to atone the sin of his country. Right. So this is a man who loves West Cameroon and who loves Cameroon.
All right. Now they're probably going to steal the show now because I'm going to announce their very influential contribution to the success of this program. Emmanuel Bevrika on the cameras and Donald Njilo behind the machine. So we're going to go listen to an excerpt of an interview that you did with the very honorable Joseph Wirba. Some call him the Nsort warrior. And here he reacts to what we've been talking about, the curious silence on the part of Anglophone MPs and senators to the evolution of the Anglophone struggle.
Not me. How would I know why they are silent? I wouldn't. The only thing I've kept telling you is that I can talk for myself. But the one thing you must remember, and which Cameroonians must remember, the institution of the culture of fear for half a century, it weighs down a lot of people. And not many of us really can crack that line with courage to be able to say it as it is. And someone needs to break the ice, someone needs to open the door, someone needs to talk up for the people, and then maybe the rest of the people will realize that, you know, they need to do something other than what they are doing in order to, you know, represent their people properly.
Now, let me ask this another question, a personal question, because I've been wondering personally why you left and you came back. It's a matter of courage.
Yeah.
Don't you think that this government is so willy that they're just waiting, perhaps when your term as an MP expires, then they'll decide to arrest you? What is going to happen then?
Oh, as I told you, I have said this to the press just on my arrival. I concluded the running has to stop. So, if they are waiting to take me to jail, I'm waiting to go to jail. If they are waiting to take me to an early grave for speaking up for my people, I'm ready for that. Because until we have people who are ready to go beyond the petty things of earning a salary, having a certain privilege, having a certain appointment, until we go beyond that, if the South Africans did not go beyond that level, apartheid would still be running South Africa. You know that. People have to reach a point where they break it and say, it has got to stop. And I cannot be stopping it by advising someone else to do it. I have to do it myself.
You have to take the lead.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you, are you, with the type of atmosphere within your party, perhaps you know when you are in water, you don't know what is going on, but we see without. Are you still comfortable within the SDF?
When you feel let down by your own team, of course, you cannot be comfortable. I'm a player. And if the team is working and all of a sudden, you know, you did a certain thing, which is supposed to be scoring a goal for a final of a certain political game. And rather than back you up openly, because it's not a private issue, and they do that, you feel certain levels of discomfort. If I were to tell you the contrary, then I would be lying, because I cannot enjoy the comfort I enjoyed before, because I'm asking myself a lot of questions.
Which means that you are planning at a certain point in time to quit the party. If to quit, where are you going to go to?
Well, if you believe that if any form of discomfort within your house means you leave the house, then you are missing the point in those terms.
Hi, Lambert.
Hello, Dean. Good morning. Good morning to everybody watching Toughtalk on Canal. Welcome to Kimbo.
All right, that's the headquarters of the Bui division of the Northwest region. How is it waking up today?
It's a cool morning. It's a really light morning here in Kumbu. The major story in Kumbu is the SDO, Take Your Fee, who is going on retirement, and the other SDO, Simon, who is coming in.
Oh, that's great. We mentioned the redeployment of divisional officers at the start of the show. Now, let me take you to something else. We understand that early Sunday there was a standoff between Bororo cattle rearers and a group of Nigerians. What happened, Lambert?
Yes, Divine, it is terrible. According to the information we got from the victims that were butchered, in fact, the images, in fact, are very shocking, Divine. If you go to BBH, you will be very disappointed.
BBH is the Banso Baptist Hospital.
Sorry?
BBH is the Banso Baptist Hospital. Can you confirm that so far 3 people have been killed?
Not only 3, we can say, you know, the number cannot be estimated. So
Okay.
many people have been killed. It is just that the few families, the 8 families who came to BBH, only 1 died.
All right.
But the other ones, except one, are in fact, in a very devastating mode, very critical mode, and we just hope that the care given to them, they are going to survive. But what we gathered equally is that, you know, there is this problem between the Mabilas and the Bororos over it's a dispute over a piece of land, and as usual, you know that the Mabilas are complaining that the Bororo guys...
Can you situate us, Lambert? Who are the Mambilas?
Actually, I am trying to get it's another tribe around the Gembu area. You know, this thing is not happening in Cameroon. It is in the Gembu area. You know, Gembu is in the Taraba state of Nigeria.
Right.
You know, Gembu is the border with Cameroon.
Okay, so it's a fighting that concerns only Nigerians. Are we correct?
Definitely, we are correct. It is not in Cameroon.
So why would they not go to Nigerian hospitals? Why are they rushing to hospitals in Cameroon like the Banso Baptist Hospital?
The best way for them is a border village. The best was to come to Cameroon because the distance, maybe the distance from where they were to get to the hospital in Nigeria was too far, and that's why they decided to come to Kubu because you know hospitals in Kubu is not completely anyway. The hospitals around here they take care of people rather than the other areas. You know, other villages at times they don't have even health facilities that are good.
Okay, Lambert, so what have you heard? Has the fighting stopped? Is it continuing?
Not yet. It is continuing because another information is coming that politics has already been involved.
Okay.
You know, the Taraba state is being ruled by the Mabilas. The leaders are the Mabilas
Okay.
of the central government, and the local government, the head of the local government in Gembu is the Mabila. So they want to send out all the Bororos from the area to occupy the whole area.
Wow, that's beautiful information. Thanks very much, Lambert, for all the information you've sent us.
That is a fact we gathered, and from the various things we have gotten from the various Bororo guys who are hospitalized in BBH, let me tell you that, Divine, it is all about politics. That's what we know. Okay,
thanks very much. Now, thanks exceptionally for the beautiful job you've done for us for this edition of Tough Talk, because we'll go right now to the machines and listen to a couple of testimonies from the victims and workers at the Banso Baptist Hospital who are taking charge of the incoming Nigerians who have suffered brutal attacks. You need to see some of the images. We intentionally decided not to show you because they are just grueling and gruesome. Now let's listen to some reactions from some of the victims as well as medics at BBH in Kumbo.
Okay, concerning the influx of the Bororo people in Kumbu, what I can first of all say is that the Cameroonian government have been doing her best, being very hospitable to those people who have entered Kumbu so far. And I also want to reiterate that I have been an eyewitness of what actually happened. I saw it with my own eyes. 4 Bororo people who were rushed to the hospital in Sabongari Hospital, well chopped off with knives and machetes. As a human being, in short, I could not even believe that it is real that such a thing can happen to a human being. And so I would like, or my special plea would go to the Nigerian government as well to do good to remedy the situation so that we don't have such issues again. And so also to encourage the Cameroonian government to keep on welcoming such people. We don't know tomorrow. Some of those people that are victims, we only need to take care of those people. And so it is a pity to see such a thing happening. When I looked at the images that I also have them in my own phone, I really have a lot of sympathy for those people living there. And I'm still sure that the struggle or the happenings there, an end had not been put to it. So I believe that the Nigerian government should really do something. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, brother. My name is Miye Mary. I am the head nurse of surgical ward in BBH, and actually we received some patients. There were 4 of them, and that was on the 22nd of June 2017 in surgical ward. They came very critical, and they were immediately taken to the theater where they had surgical intervention, and we received them back to the ward and we continued the care. One of them, the female, the lone female, was very critical more than the other ones. And on the 4th day, after serious intervention, she could not make it. She expired, and we continued with the other 3. And from all indications, they are doing very well, and they may be discharged any of these days. We don't really know what happened back there in Nigeria. We just know that they had a problem there. We don't know what the problem was, but our own, we just continued with the care as we are doing to other patients. We received them as patients and we were treating them as patients, and right now we don't actually know what was happening back there. Thank you so much.
Actually, it's like Kumu has just become a refuge.
Thank you very much. I think I'm Goran Julia, the supervisor of nursing services for Banso Baptist Hospital. When I was informed about the casualties from Nigeria,
the problem is that the Mambila people, they are just terrorists. We don't know about their attack. They just surprise us and attack us, start killing people and their animals and burning their houses. So it is just a surprise to us.
they just attacking people for nothing.
Yes, we don't know anything. We don't have any problem with them. Since that crisis of 2002, There was not any misunderstanding between them. They are working in collaboration, so they just surprised us.
But some people may be thinking that your animals, they are destroying their crops.
Even if animals destroy crop, there is law. There is ardos, there is police station, there is court, and there is jauros. If there is any misunderstanding, they report them, they pay their damage. And we have the agri people who do evaluation, and they pay them.
Okay. So
you know, as the thing happened like that, some of us went to the town. You know, we are staying in villages, so we went to market to buy things for our people. You know, we were almost approaching Salah that time, or fasting. So as we went to the market, we are on our way coming back, we saw they are burning the compound. People are running out of the compound. They are killing children and their mothers. So we just managed to escape and run away.
So what can you tell the government to do?
I'm pleading with the government to do us a favor, because as of now, we have a bill of more than 1.2.
Quick reaction, Elie Smith. I was almost getting mistaken and confused. Yeah, I thought it was fighting between Cameroonians and Nigerians, but actually it's all happening in Nigeria.
It's all happening in Nigeria, but it can also be, it can spill over into Cameroon, because the same ethnic compositions in Taraba State, you find it in the Northwest and Taraba State. So you can have this kind of sympathies of the Mboros of Cameroon or the Northwest region deciding to come into aid to their kith and kin in Taraba State, and the Bambila of the Cameroon is also doing the same thing. It is going to be the same thing we saw when this Hutu and Tutsi genocide took place in Rwanda, when you have Bahamas in the DRC trying to come and give a helping hand to the Batutsis in Rwanda.
Henry, would the Cameroon government be out of place if it intervened?
Well, it will not be out of place, but then the Cameroon government, what it generally does is try to make sure, because a similar crisis had erupted in Cameroon. I think though it's not very persistent. You know, the farmer grazer crisis. I even covered it.
It is sporadic.
Yes, sporadic from time to time. Yes, and that is why a group like the Mboskuda is doing much, not only in empowering the Moros, but lecturing them on how to avoid their cattle, crossing into farms.
All right. So on Sunday, and this is our second and last sticking point on the show today. On Sunday, July 2, 2017, traditional rulers assembled under the canopy of the Ngondo. That's the highest traditional authority of the Sawa chiefs, the coastal Sawa chiefs, met with, rolled out the red carpet to receive their counterparts from the Northwest, the Nowefu, the Northwest Fons Union, in Douala, an initiative touted as an instrument to promote peaceful coexistence between the peoples of, the Northwest and their brethren of the littoral region. Elie Smith, the traditional rulers used the platform on Sunday to call for a return to normalcy in English-speaking Cameroon. Was that the right place to emit such calls?
No, first of all, those traditional rulers of the Northwest region are no longer very respected.
All right.
One. Two, have you seen the people of the Northwest region have any problem with people of the littoral? No, I think it was uncalled for. My only investigation or my thing is that Dr. Fris Todentone, who is the government delegate at the SOPRA, a government-appointed mayor of the Douala Greater City Council, is just trying to seek notice within the ranks of within the confines of the presidency, because he has been a very bad manager. He is not different from his alter ego of the Northwest region that is very happy to see Mancho BBC be in jail. And so he thinks that, this crisis, you see, another man's meat is another man's poison. Frundi even said it, that people are exploiting the crisis
to enrich themselves.
Yes, he came short in saying that even the government officials. So Ntone wants just to show that he is trying to contribute into bringing peace and normalcy in West Cameroon. What he has to do is that let him tell Paul Biya to withdraw all the forces of insecurity down there in West Cameroon, and then to respect the constitution of this country, the founding constitution, rather than bringing people who are not representative of anybody in West Cameroon talk less of people of the Northwest Province, because those chiefs have lost all their legitimacy they used to have. In those days, you used to have people like Fonachirimbi of Bafut, and these other revert. These people here who are members of the CPDM, and they have no legitimacy.
Kejan Henry, if you place this within the scope of the recently hatched Bilingualism and Multiculturalism Commission led by former PMP Tamafani Musonge, you should say it's a laudable initiative.
Yeah, you're not far from the truth. It is a laudable initiative. But my worry, sometimes we mistake things. I don't know if because when you talk about when we say the SAWAs, generally we say from Mamfe to Campo. I did not see any chief from Mamfe. I do not see any chief from Kupempaningba, from Guti, from Tombel, from Bangem, from Kumba, from the Grand Batanga, that is to say, Ekondo Titi, Mundemba.
So why would the Southwest
right
chiefs
up
in
to
particular be excluded from such
That is the question, because when you hear we say the Sawa chiefs, and at the end we understood that it was a handful of Douala traditional monarchs like Dindika, Aqua, Bell, etc. I start questioning myself the raison d'etre or the rationale behind such a move. It is a commendable move for peace crusading, but then was it much inclusive to bring the chiefs from Mamfe or say from Akwaya, because we talk about the coast running down to Campo. You talk about the move being commendable, yes, but then what was the final resolution that they came out with? Especially as Elie Smith was saying, and referring to a certain book that was published by another Northwesterner and journalist for that matter, without calling his name, but the title of the book, The Royal Beggar. You see, in which he lambasted and tagged the funds as moving cap in hand to beg for food to eat.
Okay.
And this is a cream of people, respected traditional leaders that, coming in front of you, you have to bow, because those values, we need to protect them.
The funds, like you say, Elie Smith may have lost their credibility and legitimacy in the eyes of especially English-speaking Cameroonians.
Mm-hmm.
But then, how do you appreciate the role of the funds, especially of the Northwest, in the evolution of the Anglophone crisis? I take you back to February, when they issued what some termed a strongly worded memorandum to President Paul Biya, in which they said that the current crisis is a spring from the severe marginalization Anglophones across Cameroon have faced over the years.
Yes, while I still don't give them any ounce of credibility, but that letter that they wrote, or the memorandum that they wrote, anyway, showed that somewhere they have a kind of conscience. And what they said was correct when they said that this is because the Anglophones have been marginalized, and it is true. My problem with the chiefs and funds of the Northwest region is that they have forgotten the role they used to play. They have become extensions of the CPDM. In doing so, they have lost all credibility. So why do you expect people to give them respect? They said it simply because they were they understood that the dynamics were not in their favor. Hence, they brought out that letter or memorandum to Paul Biya to call him, telling him that the problem of Anglophone Cameroon stems from the marginalization for 56 years. So I don't see why they came here. It's waste of taxpayers' money. Dr. Fritz Tonen, who is not different from the government delegate of Bamenda Greater City Council, has done nothing, corrupt to the core. And now that he's afraid that he has gotten wind that he might also go to the prison, from the post, he now went and brought those funds of the Northwest region to accept. If I were those people of the Northwest region, I will refuse, because it is Kejan who told us a story here. This man now who claims that he loves the Anglophones. Didn't he, can you bring up the story again? Didn't he refuse?
What was that about?
When he refused a woman from speaking English at the...
yes, that is Tonen, yes, one of the collaborators. In fact, it was an outburst between him and that lady. In fact, incidentally, that lady should be coming from the Southwest region, well away. But then he tells you that he hates the Anglophone, because when the lady spoke English during one of such very high-profile meetings, he actually took it as an offense. But now why would he be pretending as if he loved the Anglophones?
I didn't want to say this, but I just wanted to chip in and say that the last time I met the government delegate to Douala, and I said...
But I'm not saying he's a bad man anyway.
I said, good morning, sir. He said, could you swallow it? I didn't know what that meant.
He despises Anglophones.
I'll stay with you on this, Kejan Henry, because you probably have an insight into it much more than Elie would do. When you take the likes of Fon Isaac Jaffa of Bangolan in the Northwest region, who has been vomited by a fraction of his own people, and his subjects are turning against him, and you bring him to a forum like this to preach the need for unity, coexistence, and fraternity. Even if his chiefs know that he will not be listened to.
Yes, not only Fon Isaac Jaffa, you have Fon Fobuzi II, who is presently who has sent his villagers to mount. We hear he has armed some of his village boys, to seize lands in Songwa village. Songwa village, a land that was given to the Songwa people by the government even before his own ancestors were born. You see, but many of them, like Fon Bambi, the third of Wum, that is of Agem clan. You have Fon Aneng Francis, who has been leading, and we know the role that this Fon Aneng Francis has played. He's a good man, I don't deny, but sometimes they are not taking things very seriously.
Elie, yes, Kejan, I'm not sure you rounded up yet, but I just, we're running out of time, right?
Come on.
So I thought Elie should chip in something on this. You blame the traditional rulers. How much do they get? They don't earn money until recently when they were when there was salary institutionalized for them. They should go cap in hand, like Kejan said, and people call them shameless beggars.
Royal beggars.
Who have fertilized a certain lust for greed and money. Shamelessly politicking around the place.
Logically, I don't.
For survival.
Yeah, logically, I don't have to return your question for another question. Before the government stipend was instituted, how were they making a living?
Some are workers.
Some are workers. People in the village used to contribute.
Isaac is a magistrate.
Yes.
Targeted because they sold village lands.
Yeah, but then funds of the Northwest region used to have a lot of credibility because first of all, there were genuine funds. They were not controversial funds. And then the people around the subject used to contribute to pay for them, give them the respect. The thing is that they became greedy, and now they wanted to be riding in those 4 SUVs. So that is a problem, and that's the reason why they have lost. Like this, you were talking about the Fonfuzi who decided to spark a tribal war, and the other guys who, Mr. Chaffa, who is really a disgrace to the royalty in the Northwest. So
let's go back in time. A couple of months ago, on one of our flagship programs, it's called Newsroom. It's currently presented by Elie Smith, previously by Kejan Henry. So we actually took interest in the plight of funds from particularly the Northwest Funds Union, OFU. And here's what we came up with back then. I think it's still relevant now.
Casual trips down the lanes of memory will undoubtedly recall the immeasurable magnitudes of veneration once enjoyed by tribal and clan heads across Cameroon. Back in those days, chiefs and their chiefdoms stood tall as epitomes of dignity and traditional authority, as well as fountains of justice and community pride. They were not only custodians of ancestral traditions, but also de facto guarantors of the welfare and safety of their subjects. Alas, those days are long gone. From the Fons and Bears of the Northwest, through the Lamidos and Sultans of the west and northern parts, to the Nkunkumas of the southeast, the country's traditional rulers have over time seen their influence take drastic nosedives. Researchers frequently brandish lengthy lists of reasons, but there is converging unanimity around the agreement that the ongoing erosion of the powers and authority of the country's chiefs gained unprecedented velocity with the return to plural party politics in the early 90s. Eager to cash in on the millions of temptation CFA francs flaunted at the time by especially CPDM tycoons, the chiefs, one after the other, succumbed and in quick succession. when they did not shamelessly serve as boot-licking campaign managers, they blatantly threatened their subjects with banishment if they failed to toe their lines. Others enthusiastically transformed their palaces into polling stations and results falsification hubs. The 2004 murder of a Balikumbat SDF militant purportedly masterminded by the late Fondo, otherwise known in his heydays as the Gaddafi of Ndop West, will forever substantiate such narratives. Today, respect for chiefs across Cameroon comes in very short supply. In the southwest, they stand accused of conniving with administrators to sell off ancestral lands. In the center and south, they frequently engage in fist fights with their subjects over women and bottles of beer in drinking houses. Elsewhere, others have resorted to selling off age-old cultural antiques as well as royal titles. Some of them today reduced to laughingstocks and labeled royal beggars in the northwest, for example, crisscross the nation imploring their subjects to raise funds for fictitious village ventures. Their meanness again climaxed in the run-up to the 2011 presidential election when Paul Biya tactfully announced he was placing them on salaries amounting to 200,000 francs for first class, 100,000 francs for second class, and 50,000 francs for third class chiefs. They instantly announced a landslide 100% victory for the incumbent. Meanwhile, when the National Council of Traditional Rulers was set up a few years ago, many considered it a beginning to the restoration of the evaporated dignity of the chiefs. Curiously, the council appears to be looking on with absolute nonchalance as leadership tussles born of greed and its derivatives rock and split the once powerful Northwest Fons Union Nowefu and the Bakundu Chiefs Conference in the southwest.
Thanks very much for having stayed on with us. As we go, Henry, I'll just ask you, is it we probably may be blaming the funds and the traditional rulers too much? Is it a problem for them not to be swept away by the changing times and modernity?
Yeah, but you are very right. You know, modernity comes with its own problems. In as much as we quarrel our children for being modern, computer-driven, I think the funds too have the same problem. Okay, now let me tell you this. I've met many funds, you know, admiring, you know, damsels in swimming pools with bikinis in Douala.
So they go to hotels and swimming pools?
Of course, of course.
Do they carry along the stools?
The question is, I was asking myself if they move with the royal stool to their hotel rooms or would they move with the Queen Mother.
Elie,
you know,
so
but
the fonts
he's standing at the no, divine, this is desecrating, and that is why some of them will never have respect. I don't want to say it's my fault. You desecrate the royal chair, and what is the problem now?
Yeah, no, I think the problem is that there's no problem with modernity. The thing is that the fonts can conciliate the ancient tradition with modernity. There's no problem. The thing is when the fonts are corrupt, supporting dictatorial regimes like that of Cameroon. Look at the font of Ouagadougou. This is a man who has adopted modernity and the ancient tradition so well, but he still holds the credibility. Even Gengere went there, everybody goes there, and he tells you the truth. But those are our corrupt funds paid by the government to lie. Can they say anything in this crisis? If they had any credibility, they would have been able to stop this crisis, and the president of the republic or the francophone-led government in Yaoundé would have been able to listen to them.
All right. So watch the entire run of the interview Elie Smith has with the tough talking Honorable Joseph Wirba. It should be coming up sometime this afternoon, and stay tuned because there are lots and lots of surprises in store for you all through the week. Until we come around again for another live edition of Tough Talk. Thanks a lot to Emmanuel Bivrika on the cameras and Donald Njilo behind the machines. Stay out of trouble. Bye-bye.